karanasan po, tingnan ba natin sa lahat ng dito.
Media educators are warning call to defend press freedom.
This corruption in media will reduce
Good evening. You're watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel. I'm Jing Magsaysay. Tonight we're joined by BIR Commissioner Kim Henares. Commissioner, thanks for joining us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for inviting me to your show.
2013, what's the year looking like, Commissioner? What are your targets?
My target for 2013 is 1,253 billion pesos.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
How are we doing so
I
far?
cannot even imagine counting it.
1 trillion.
Yeah.
It's the first time that we've hit the 1 trillion mark.
Last year,
Last year, no?
2012. Yeah.
In the history of the country, tax collections.
Yes.
In January, it grew by 11.23%, and February grew by 5.82 billion pesos.
Yeah. Actually, if I look at history, normally our collection for the first few months will be a bit down.
Okay.
Because compared to our goal, because what we try to do is we try to make our goal harder in the first 6 months, so that we can try to catch up or make some adjustment in case, so we have more time.
In the latter part of the year.
So
towards the latter.
if you look at last year, the first half of the year were short by double digit more than 10 billion. It even reached up to 20 billion, 25 billion. But we were able to catch up at the latter part of the year, so it went down to 8 billion.
When you say catching up, what kind of programs do you have in place to ensure that you can catch up? What kind of reforms have you instituted in terms of the way taxes are being collected?
Well, what we're trying to do now is we're trying to make sure that we have all the data. We try to make sure that the data are very secure and reliable. And in trying to capture that data, we're trying to make it come directly from the taxpayer.
Okay.
And in that sense, trying to make it easy for the taxpayer to send us all the information. So some of the process re-engineering we're doing is basically, like for example, we started with an interactive form last year, and up to now you can use that. But we're trying to build another engine on top of that, so that after you fill up the interactive form, you can file it online. So you don't have to go to the bank. Although we have an electronic filing and payment system now.
Yes.
But using that same interactive platform, enhancing it further, so that instead of just printing, you can save and then submit. But of course, all this, the taxpayer will still have to enroll. Because otherwise, if we just open it without the enrollment feature, the security of the system will be at risk.
How many people have taken advantage of the online facility?
The online facility for electronic filing and payment system, all the 2,000 large taxpayers should file electronically, and plus 20,000 other large taxpayers should file electronically.
Okay.
Then aside from that, this is one thing people are not aware of, is that if you are not mandated, you can actually volunteer by enrolling to file electronically.
Who are mandated in the first place?
The top 20,000
Corporations
are mandated to file electronically, and also those who are bidding for government contracts,
Okay.
and those who have special incentives, like those in the Board of Investment, those who are with PESA or other incentive granting agency. All these taxpayers are required or mandated to file electronically.
Have all the 20,000 filed electronically?
That's what we're also tightening up. We're noticing that some try to circumvent it. So what we're saying, we issued a revenue memorandum circular basically saying that those who are mandated to file electronically should. Otherwise, if they don't, they are in violation of Section 275. There's a fine of at least 1,000 pesos per infraction, and there's also imprisonment.
That sounds kind of small, 1,000 pesos per infraction.
Yeah, but the imprisonment is the one that's the higher penalty. The imprisonment, I think, can go up to 4 years.
But how has how's the response been from the 20,000 largest taxpayers? What percentage of them have filed online?
Well, I think more than, I would think 80% have
Okay.
filed online. Maybe we were a bit lenient before. That's why nakakalusot yun iba. But
Okay.
now we're tightening up. No? Like for example, those who are bidding for government contract, before we issue clearance even if you did not file electronically. But moving forward, we will issue a clearance, but we will say that this clearance is not valid for government bidding if you did not, because you did not file electronically.
You have been filing cases against those who haven't been paying their taxes correctly, or those who haven't been paying their taxes at all.
We have filed 160 cases to date. So next week will be 161, 162. Yeah.
And these cases, do they reflect the 20,000 largest corporations, or do these include individuals?
It's a mix. There's an individual, there are large taxpayers, no? But it's more, because the large taxpayer, the 2,000 large taxpayer, we monitor them closely.
Okay.
And because their base is already high, although we assess them from time to time, deficiency of amount worth billions, no? But because the base is so high, the 30% discrepancy is sometimes not reached. So it does not reach that point where we can say that there's fraud.
Okay.
But the assessment in terms of peso amount are large. No? It sometimes goes to 1-2 billion pesos. No?
So the 2,000 largest taxpayers, they comprise what percentage of the total tax collection?
They contribute they and their employees contribute 62% of total tax collection.
That's large.
Yes.
That's large.
Yeah.
And the 62% has been reflected every year, or are the percentages going up in terms of the 2,000 largest taxpayers?
You know, the objective is to put all the taxpayers that contribute 80% of collection in the large taxpayer service. But we have never been able to achieve that because the large taxpayer service just started in the late 90s. No? So
Okay.
we have to put people, build capability system. No? Then the other thing is, remember, we're trying to increase the tax base. When you talk of tax base, capturing people who are not paying taxes when they should be paying. That's in the region. No? So if the region keeps on performing well, we will always be short of that 62, 65, 80, you know, because the base keep on growing.
Yeah.
So, but that's the whole objective is to try to secure the collection, the bulk of, I think it's the Pareto principle, no? Making sure you take care of the 80% that contribute to you.
Is there a particular segment of society that is very difficult to collect taxes from?
The informal sector, no? The people who are in the market,
Yeah.
no? The people in the online community, no? The professionals, no? The taxpayer whose client are end consumers and do not need the receipt as an expense.
Sari-sari stores?
Yeah, the sari-sari store, no? Because there's the market they sell to cannot use the receipt as a deduction from their income.
Right.
Yeah, so those are the segment that's more difficult to collect from.
Is that a large part of our collections?
It's a
Is that a
large part
significant
of
part?
our economy. No?
Yeah.
There's an estimate that the informal sector comprises 40% of our economy. So,
How much is that in terms of pesos? Just to give us an idea.
well, if I put it in my collection, no, the 1.057 billion we collected last year, you could say that came from the 60%.
Okay.
Although the 60% are not completely paying the correct taxes. No? So there's a lot that we can collect. No? So if we say 1.057 is 60% of what can be collected, So there's another almost 1 trillion that we should be collecting. No? So that's basically where all the effort is going to.
The president met with the Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and he, in his speech, the president said you should be paying your taxes. What's the story behind that?
Well, I guess the profile of what was discussed in the speech, I would think, is true, even if you put it in the Philippine Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
even if you put it in the PICPA, even you put it in the PMA. The profile, no, of how many people are not filing, how many are not registered would remain the same. No, it's the percentage might change a bit, no, but the magnitude would still be the same. No, I think the thing there is because he was invited to talk to the business community, and this is a big part of our business community, no? The Filipino-Chinese business community, and it was near the April 15 filing. No? It's just the right place to speak
Deliver
to
the
them.
message.
Yeah, and basically the message was really just to ask them, to appeal to them to. We recognize that they contribute a lot. No? They have adopt a school. Whenever there's a calamity, they donate. No? Basically, what the message of the president is saying is that I think that is an external manifestation, but wouldn't it be better if you comply with the law, no? And do also those things? No? So basically, it's just an appeal. No? It's an appeal to a business community, because the business community are the one that really have to pay taxes on April 15. No? If it was PCCI who had invited him, he would have said the same thing, right? It's just that it was just the right place to say those things. No?
You've been going after particular individuals in the past weeks and months, no? And some of them have been high-profile actresses, actors. How do you decide who to go after?
Whatever case whose evidence are complete.
Okay.
That's how we decide who we will go after. No, who we will start investigating really depends on a lot of things. No, it can be internally generated data tells us that there's something wrong. Therefore, we investigate them. No? Or there are people who email me, who text me, who calls my office, no? And says, you should investigate these people because, we looked into it and tried to determine whether there's a basis for those complaints. Now, for the actors and actresses and basketball player whose income depend on them being exposed, no? It's if you're very exposed, it's a natural tendency for us. Let's check how much is he paying in taxes. No?
High profile.
Yeah, because that's what I said. No, if your fame and your income depends on your exposure. But at the same time, because of your exposure, you have to make sure you pay the right taxes, because otherwise, you cannot have exposure and dodging taxes. No, it doesn't work.
Okay, I'd like to ask you about lifestyle check, but we'll go into a short break.
Okay.
Let's take a short break. News Cafe will return after these reminders. You're still watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel, and we're still joined by BIR Commissioner Kim Henares on this one-on-one interview. Again, Commissioner, thanks for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
The lifestyle checks. Do you have a group that does lifestyle checks?
Our National Investigation Division and our Special Investigation Division, these are the people really in charge of investigating tax fraud. No? Normally, they conduct the lifestyle check is something that Ombudsman uses as a
Right.
term. No? But it's really a net worth method of investigation or expenditure method of investigation. No? So normally, this is where we use them. No? Like for example, people who do not issue receipts, so it's hard to find out how much income they generate, right? But we can see from their asset how much should they have been reporting. Because the concept there is all of us were born without anything, right? So, so for you to have asset, that means you have either to have somebody gave you money, so or things, so that's a donor's tax, or you inherited, so there's an estate tax, or you earned it, so there's an income tax.
Right.
So at any point in time, let's say today, if I investigate you and your asset is worth 100 million, then I will now check in our record, have taxes. 100 million means that you should have earned 150, because tax is around 1/3. So you should have earned 150 and pay taxes on that 150. So I will now look at all the returns you have filed with us to determine, have you reported 150 million? If not, now depending on the discrepancy, if you never reported anything, then now you have a major problem, no? Because it's an open shut case. But if you have reported something and it's substantial, then it can work. Unless we have more than what is on the table, then it can work that we won't be filing a criminal case.
And how do you come by a complete list of the assets of the person? You
Well,
send people out to look at their properties and get on.
Yeah, we can take picture first. The Land Registration Authority is a government agency. We write them and ask for information. The LTO is a government agency. We write them and we ask for, do you have cars registered under this? It can be either I'm looking for a person and I will say, do you have cars registered under this person? Or it could be I'm not looking for a person, but a specific person, but I'm looking for people who are capable of buying this property. You know? Like I can ask LTO, give me all registration regarding cars like Lamborghini, Ferraris, no? So they will give it to us and then we will check the owners. So it can work either of those two ways.
Well, let's talk about your house. Housekeeping. Is there corruption at the BIR?
No, there will, I mean, I would be kidding people if I say there's none. No? Because we're handling so much money. No? Every assessment we make can go all the way to billions. No? And then the salary of our people, like me, I'm the highest officer of that bureau. My take-home pay per week is around 12,000 pesos only. So in a month, that's around 48,000. No? And I'm handling assessment of 1 billion, right? So the taxpayer naman will be out by 1 billion, so they will try to do everything to try to minimize or cancel that assessment. No? And they will always try to tempt. No? It's either it's initiated by sometimes by our people or sometimes it's by the taxpayer. So there can be corruption and there are corruption. No? But what my advice to everyone is that first you should pay the correct tax. Because if you pay the right tax, if somebody wants to investigate you, then you let them investigate.
Yes.
No? At the end of the day, if you're paying the right tax, they cannot harass you because what you tell them, you go ahead and check my book. No? Now, if they still continue and you believe that you're correct, then you protest those assessments and bring us to court. There's a court of tax appeal. No? Don't pay it if you don't really believe you're liable. No? As long as you're sure that you're paying the right tax. No? Do not complain if you're not paying the right tax. No? Because my advice to people, my friends, no, and my relative, I said, as an advice, as an assistant to you, if you want to pay the right tax, please come and approach me because I can assure you that that's what will happen. But if your desire in coming to approach me is try to minimize your tax, I'm already telling you it will not happen. Because first, when I talk to my people, first, they will not believe that I'm trying to help you. They will believe that I'm trying to entrap them.
Yeah.
No? So they will not help you in the sense of minimizing your taxes. No? What they will do is they will assess the right tax because they know we're watching it. No? So if that's your desire, please complain.
How many people pay the right tax? What percentage of taxpayers?
Who knows? If I talk to the 2,000 large taxpayer, all of them will say they're paying the right taxes. No?
Right.
If I talk to most of the top 20,000 taxpayer, they will say they're paying the
Okay,
right
let me ask you
taxes.
another question. How much money is lost to corruption?
In the expenditure side or the revenue side?
Revenue side.
Well, the revenue side, in the sense that people not paying the right tax. No?
Or not paying at all?
Yeah.
Or in collusion with...
Yeah, I cannot pinpoint how much is it for this instance or that instance. No? But what I'm saying is if everyone pay the right taxes, we can easily collect double what we're collecting.
So 2 trillion pesos.
Yeah, we can collect 1 trillion more. No? And by that time, then we won't have a deficit. No, we will be in a surplus. And if we're in a surplus, then government will start thinking about lowering tax rate for everyone. No?
And the potential 1 trillion pesos more that we could collect is because there is, can you call it systemic corruption in the system?
I mean, it's the psyche of the people. They seem to not want to pay taxes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's called systemic corruption. No? It's just, it's human nature.
Yeah.
They already earned the money. It's hard to get it away
let go
from
of
them.
it.
Yeah. So, so I mean, it's so the objective is to tell them that these are your obligation as a citizen and resident of the Philippines. And if you want your country, the Philippines, to be developed, to grow, all of us have to pay our taxes. No? And if you don't, there's a consequence for that. No?
Do people understand this concept, finally, paying taxes, especially the informal sector? Do they understand the consequences of not paying taxes? Is the message getting through?
I think it's getting through, no? Because through the years, the performance of the Bureau has improved vis-a-vis collection goal. No?
Okay.
The deficit, the shortfall has been growing less and less. No? Last year, we fell short by 0.77%. No? Hopefully this year we will exceed it or match it. No? I think it's getting through, but not as much as what we want. No?
Okay.
What I'm saying is that basically, if let's say there's 100 taxpayer, when before only 10 was paying, now siguro there's 20 of them not paying. But the objective is to make all 100 taxpayer pay that right tax.
And more people are paying taxes because you're making it easier for them to pay taxes? The infrastructure is there?
You know, the ease of paying taxes has always been there, no? And we're trying to process and engineer most of the things. No? And like I said, if you really do your tax yourself once or twice, once you do it, it becomes easy.
Right.
It's only hard because you've never done it.
Correct.
No? So, siguro now, more people realize that they have to learn how to do it. So, maybe in the future, we'll have less complaint about how difficult it is. No? Then, secondly, I think people realize that we're serious about the consequence. No? That if we really catch you not paying taxes, we will really file a case against you.
The culture of paying taxes and the collection that you're having now, do you see a change in the mindset of Filipinos?
Yeah, yes.
Do you think governance has something to do with this?
Well, I don't know whether fortunately, unfortunately, it has an effect, no? In the sense that people now are more willing to pay their taxes because they said that they can see where it's going, no? Or it's not being kurakot, no? In the sense that it's a positive. In the sense, it's also a negative because you're connecting tax collection to expenditure when the two should not be, no? Because the obligation to pay taxes whether or not it is used properly or not is separate from the usage.
Right.
No? As a citizen or resident, as a taxpayer, you have two obligations. One, to pay the right tax. Two, to make sure that the taxes you paid are being used properly. You cannot just say, I paid my tax, that's it. No? So you still have the second obligation, which is to make sure your government use the taxes properly.
A lot of people are moving from physical businesses to online businesses.
Yeah, and that's one of the harder things to tax.
What are you doing about that?
We don't really have to do anything about that in the sense that all our rules and regulations are
Cover.
also applicable to
Okay.
online transaction. No? Because the online transaction basically is no different from any business. No?
Right.
The only difference is your office, your store is not a physical office or store. It's
Right.
just something up in the cloud. No? But all the transactions are the same as any physical store or physical office, and therefore all rules apply. No?
But not all the online sellers issue receipts.
Yeah,
do they?
that's why we're coordinating, dealing with the website owner, no?
Right.
And we're telling them that we have a regulation that said landlord are equally liable for the fault of their tenant. No? So if they lease to somebody who's not registered, who do not issue receipt, they are also liable. So we're also talking to them and saying to them that you are also under the same regulation, no? And
Yeah.
you should make sure whoever subscribed from you and establish a virtual store you should check that they're registered and that they are issuing receipt.
What about in the case of the owner of the website doesn't have anything to do with the transactions of the people who go to the website that
Yeah.
deal with each other?
The owner of the website still is the one who allowed them to use the website.
To make the transaction.
Yeah, so they should make sure that if these subscribers of theirs are engaging in business, they should make sure that it's their requirement. They will require that they are registered with the Bureau of Internal Revenue and that they are issuing receipt. Now, not all online transactions are taxable. No? Like for example, if you're a one-off transaction,
Right.
you have an old car
That you
and
want
you
to
just sell it there.
Right.
That's not taxable.
Okay.
But if you are a used car dealer and
Yes.
you use that site, then you're
Yes.
taxable.
Okay, so how does it look like 2013, ma'am? Are you going to hit your targets?
Well, our policy is always to work hard until the last day of the year. Then let's see what happens.
So far, looks good? On a monthly basis, you're meeting your targets?
We're not yet hitting our target, but that's
Okay.
expected for the first
For the
3
first
months.
3 months.
So we're pushing everyone to work harder. No?
Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
you
very
for
much.
talking to us.
Thank you. And can I ask people
Go ahead,
to...
ma'am, please.
April 15 is the deadline.
Deadline.
Please file your income tax return. I don't know whether I should say early because you only have Saturday and Monday left. Maybe early Monday.
File your taxes.
Yes. And pay correctly. That's what we only require. Pay correctly. No? Whether it's whatever amount it is, just pay correctly.
Will the BIR offices be open during the weekend? And
On Saturday.
for what hours? For how long?
Saturday, we're open from 8 to 5.
Okay.
And Monday will be open officially 8 to 5. No? But if there are people that's already nakalinya, then we will serve them.
What about kiosks outside of the...
Same.
Same
8
then,
to- yeah.
same then. Are you adding new kiosks just to accept taxpayers in the last few days?
The kiosk has already been set up.
Yeah, are
Yeah,
there
from this-
no other facilities to accept
Yeah.
payments? Okay. Like in the offices
And
or
the
no special
offices
arrangements?
every year naman, all offices are open for accepting returns. No? But if it's a return that has a payment, they
Yeah.
have to do it in the bank.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
ma'am. Thank you. Well, there you go. File your taxes. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank our guest, Commissioner Kim Henares. Commissioner, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Join us again next Friday for another 360-degree discussion here on News Cafe. I'm Jim Magsaysay. Salamat po.